The Fairfax County Tree Commission recognizes individuals and organizations that contribute to protecting or planting trees through tree preservation, tree planting, and the Friends of Trees Awards. Trees are an invaluable resource, especially in urban and suburban areas. They provide shade to homes and streets, clean the air, provide wildlife habitat, and improve water quality. Trees are also important to our quality of life. They define the aesthetics of neighborhoods and commercial areas and commuter routes. Trees and forests provide the green and natural infrastructure that Fairfax County needs to thrive in a rapidly changing world, a world that must face and adapt to climate change. Awards for tree preservation are presented to recognize developers and builders who have gone above and beyond basic requirements in preserving trees on a project they have constructed. Nominees made a commitment towards tree preservation during the planning stages by designing the project to preserve the maximum number and the most suitable trees possible, given the existing resources and site constraints. This commitment is further demonstrated due to the installation, maintenance, and use of tree protective devices throughout the construction of the project. Awards for tree planting and landscaping are presented to recognize developers who have gone above and beyond basic requirements for replacing trees that were unavoidably harmed or destroyed due to development. Nominees made a commitment towards tree conservation in planning and implementation by planting the most suitable species based on post-development conditions and provided for the long-term survival of planted trees through best practices. Nominees made a commitment regarding planting that takes advantage of energy conservation opportunities and provides air and/or water quality and wildlife benefits. Strong consideration for using appropriate native species and improved cultivars and varieties is part of the nomination process. Awards for the Friends of Trees are presented to individuals or organizations for various tree-related projects or programs. These groups have demonstrated outstanding conservation-based actions in preserving, protecting, or planting trees. This year's Tree Preservation Award winner is the Bashir and Edgemoor Corporation, and the Tree Planting Award winners are Steve and Andrea Miside. The Bashir and Edgemoor Corporation is receiving a Tree Preservation Award for the Rivermont project in Great Falls. This 52-acre property was previously called Brooks Farm and was used as a horse farm that was mostly pasture, along with approximately 15 acres of forest. The Bashir and Edgemoor Corporation was able to leave most of the forested area undisturbed and built 19 homes in the area. In addition to the trees that were preserved, they planted hundreds of native trees throughout the development. Steve and Andrea Misai are receiving a tree planting award for the Lot 1, Section 1 Anchordale project. Before construction, the site had trees that could not be preserved and were subsequently removed. A high invasive plant population also needed to be controlled. 52 new trees were needed to meet the canopy coverage requirements. Most of the trees were locally grown on a tree farm 50 miles from the project site and were removed with an oversized root ball which improved the reestablishment rate. The bulk of the planting was timed for a late fall, early winter installation to further help the young trees grow. Invasive plant material was aggressively controlled, and the entire conservation area was mulched with wood chip or shredded hardwood mulch to retard the return of the invasive population. The first phase of a shrub understory planting was implemented. The property owner planted 17 trees in addition to those required by the site plan. An evergreen buffer along the southeastern property line behind the pool was increased, and hollies and cedars on the site plan were relocated to increase density and fill canopy openings in the woodland section of the property. Ornamental fastigate hornbeams and a bloodgood Japanese maple were planted near the foundation of the home for aesthetic, screening, and increased tree canopy purposes. Project arborists and certified landscape horticulturalists checked on the plantings periodically during the spring and summer. Care recommendations were given when needed, and the builder did an excellent job of following through with the necessary actions to maintain the health of the trees planted. The tree plantings thrived and continued to grow and were established while the house construction continued. Near the final stages of construction, the owner installed an irrigation system which included emitters for each of the trees on separate zones so they could be watered when needed for the appropriate time. This year's winner of the Friends of Trees is the Friends of Akitin Creek and Dragon Mansilovic. Members of the Friends of Akitin Creek have been working for several years to preserve trees in the region through advocacy for better development practices and furthering arborist education in schools. This group coordinates volunteers who remove invasive plants, cut back invasive vines that kill trees, and remove pervasive root systems. After invasive plants and the root systems have been removed, native trees are planted, fenced off to prevent deer browse, and maintained by watering throughout dry spells and weeding to ensure growth. Several members of the Friends of Akitin Creek have been involved recently in Operation Stream Shield, a program that employs people who are experiencing homelessness and use their skills in litter control and invasive plant removal. During the pilot stage of Operation Stream Shield, members were involved in supervising at invasive management sites at Lake Akitin Park. Now that the program is permanent, a workday devoted to removing large areas of invasive Chinese wisteria from trees has just been successfully completed, and future regular workdays are anticipated. Mr. Dragan Mansilovic was a Fairfax County Tree Commissioner from January 2015 until May 2020. During that period, Mr. Mansilovic gave his unique and passionate perspective on tree preservation, often drawing upon his life experiences growing up in his former country of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. During Tree Commission meetings, he actively contributed to discussions about tree inventories, stream restorations, and encroachment on the Chesapeake Bay resource protection areas. Some examples of his service include in Tree Commission meetings, public meetings for development projects, and walks with residents in the field. Dragan is a soft-spoken, reasoned, but passionate advocate for trees and natural areas. He speaks honestly and respectfully to people on all sides of an issue. He listens and modifies his position based on facts and is steadfast in his support of decisions that lessen the impact of development and promote improvement of the community. Dragan participated in the public meetings while the old courthouse spring branch at Gosnell Road project was being designed. For the old courthouse spring branch at Ash Grove Historic Park, Phase 2, Dragan attended every in-person and virtual meeting. He spoke in support of the need to conduct stormwater improvements and offered constructive input to reduce impacts. He acts as a liaison to the community, educating fellow residents and giving his time as a project team member. In spring 2020, the community became aware of planned construction by the Fairfax County Department of Transportation and the Fairfax County Park Authority of a connector to the Ash Grove Lane Trail. There were many questions raised by the community. Dragan reviewed the available plans for the project and worked to define the potential impacts of the project. In subsequent virtual meetings with Hunter Mill District Supervisor Walter L. Alcorn, residents, and county staff, Dragan listened to input from all sides and acted as a leader within the community. He played an important role in guiding the conversations pertaining to this project. Subsequently, Supervisor Alcorn directed county staff to coordinate the multiple projects in that area to minimize impacts to the community and natural resources. Congratulations to all tree preservation, tree planting, and the Friends of Trees Award winners. For additional information, contact the Fairfax County Tree Commission at 703-324-1770 or treemail@fairfaxcounty.gov.